Hello again, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for this Thursday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Dave Percy, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up first, we've got conditions across the southeast coast today and probably into this evening. Looking at rain here along the outer coastline, becoming a little more mixed up through here, and then kind of rain and snow through a swath just inland there, including, say, Angoon to Cake on down to Ketchikan. Then we've got the snow here in some of the warning areas where there is a warning out here, like from Juneau down to Petersburg, for 5 to 10 inches of snow falling starting this afternoon, Thursday afternoon in through Thursday night, and next snow all the way down to Hyder and Stewart and northward there to toward White Pass up the Klondike Highway, Haines and Skagway. And then a mixture of conditions again back toward Yakutat. They had freezing rain reported today. Otherwise, on the graphic here, we've got the red area there. That's a winter storm warning for heavy snow here from Juneau on down to Petersburg, Wrangell, and maybe over some of the central islands there. Otherwise, mostly just rain out along the outer coastline. The trend will be toward snow becoming mostly rain later on tonight and into the day Friday. Up to the north, got a blizzard warning out for tonight, or actually starting at 3 a.m. tonight until 6 p.m. Friday afternoon here for the central, eastern, and Beaufort Sea coast. Looking blizzard conditions developing as winds out of the west pick up to 50 miles per hour, west-southwest winds, again increasing up to 50 miles an hour. That'll produce considerable drifting and blowing snow in that area. Of course, visibilities will be reduced to less than a quarter mile. In some cases, probably just whiteout conditions up there. So blizzard warning kicking in 3 a.m. tonight through most of the day tomorrow. Otherwise, winter weather advisories here ending this evening back in the west areas for several inches of snow, and then lingering on throughout the night tonight and into tomorrow here over the central and eastern interior for 1 to 3 inches of snow and some gusty winds with that, reducing visibilities at times. And again, that'll be ending from east or from west to east here as time goes on tonight. And moving on to the satellite image, you can see a lot of moisture here has flown northward, pushing eastward with the cold front right back through here. Some warm front action there right off the southeast coast, and that spreading the precipitation in across the area there. And back up here to the northwest, we've got a system passing by to the north. Pretty good gradient there, seeing gusty winds along with areas of snow, getting more in the form of snow showers here as you head south, and then cutting off just about as you get into Bristol Bay, southern Kuskokwim Valley areas, looking pretty good around Kodiak, and then the snow ending from southwest to northeast here for Cook Inlet, breaking out a little bit of sunshine over northern Cook Inlet this afternoon, probably up into the Sitna Valley as well, as this whole mass of moisture shifts off to the east, and then out to the west, another mass of moisture coming in here with another system. One center down here to the south, another one farther back out there to the west, and just a huge cloud shield with the front out in this area, kind of splits in two here with one band swinging into the eastern Aleutians up toward the Pribilof Island areas. Otherwise, to the north of that, lower top clouds here over much of the northern Bering Sea and across St. Lawrence Island to the Bering Strait, and pretty well clouded over the North Slope Arctic coast there. And again, pretty good winds here through the interior with places like Shaktoolik seeing wind gusts to 55 miles per hour right about in that location there. Today, another place called Box Mountain had winds gusting to 44 miles per hour, so pretty breezy conditions, 35 to 45 mile an hour winds here. Noatak Valley, northwest coastal areas, and across the Seward Peninsula. Then diminishing a little bit over the interior, but still quite a windy day with snow blowing and drifting around up in the, especially back up there to the northwest, and some breaks over the north slope. More intermittent snow there, lighter winds as well into the Yukon Flats. Got low pressure here right off the North Gulf Coast, about 1,008 millibars. So a mixture of rain or snow, mostly snow here over the higher elevations, of course, and farther east you go. Rain out along the coast. and then that ending back here, becoming snow showers, but lingering along the upslope areas of the Alaska and Aleutian ranges here, cutting off with some clearing there for the Alaska Peninsula. Otherwise, also some sunshine breaking out, looks like over Bristol Bay and northeastward from there. Then this trough swinging in, keeping again quite windy with snow up to the north, to the eastern Beaufort Sea coast. And then this next system spreading rain and winds gusting 40 to 60 miles an hour, ADAC, on back out towards Shimia there, beginning to diminish the wind-wise behind the front there, but rain continuing throughout much of the afternoon. And for tonight, we'll see that system lifts northward here into the, or low pressure center lifts northward, develops along the front. The other low stays way back out there to the west, and that'll push the front eastward here, with rain and wind spreading into the eastern Aleutians, definitely into the Pribilof. Snow changing to mixed rain and snow changing to rain once the warmer air gets in, with that wedge of warm air there just behind the warm front. Higher pressure, dry conditions along the southwest coast, scattered snow showers over the southwest interior, diminishing throughout the evening. Clearing continues and drying continues here for areas east and south of the Alaska Range due to these north and northwest winds, downsloping winds drying it out. And a little cooler, definitely a little windier here along the North Gulf Coast tonight. You see the gradient here from Kodiak Island, gusty northwest winds there all the way over to Copper River Delta with weak high pressure ridging in over the Copper River Basin. And then a couple of troughs up here keep it cloudy and snowy again with the winter weather advisories hanging on through tonight over the central areas. And definitely that blizzard warning continues up along the eastern Arctic coast, or actually kicks in with that trough later tonight and continues through at least tomorrow morning. Most of the day, those winds will begin to drop off in the afternoon there, but snowfall will continue. Blowing and drifting conditions continue as well. High pressure builds into the interior. Much drier conditions. A fair amount of sunshine here from the northwest valley, actually the Koyukuk Valley, back out toward Kotzebue Sound, Seward Peninsula. Look for a lot of clearing, less wind, actually swinging around in direction from the west you had today to beginning to go east-northeast with this front slamming into the southwest coast with rain and snow mixed to just plain rain and gusty winds here pushing into the south from the southeast Bering Sea in there across Bristol Bay, and a chance of rain or snow or one or the other reaches southwest Kodiak Island during the late afternoon hours, and then precipitation near and north of the Aleutians throughout the day Friday with gusty west winds, cooler temperatures, snow shower, snowfall zone levels falling to near sea level, western central Aleutian areas. Southeast coast, got this system now trough aloft, swinging southward, so it'll be drying out from northwest to southeast throughout the day. So it looks like staying pretty damp here over the central and southern areas throughout much of the day, but drying out up to the north there. And mostly sunny, light winds for the North Gulf Coast, except for still some outflow gap wind type winds going, but those will be diminishing in the afternoon as well. Outlook for Saturday, low pressure here moves right up to the southeast coast, just south of Yakutat or near Yakutat, probably just to the south, 1,003 millibar low. So another round of precipitation here for the Panhandle. Snow in the north, mixture of rain or snow in the south. Colder air mass in through here now, so even off the coast, you probably see some snowfall, and that'll be mixed though down over, say, from roughly Sitka down across Prince of Wales Island in the afternoon. Mixed rain and snow, but eastward or northward, and with any elevation, plain snow. Otherwise, look for more in the way of some cloudiness here, but some snow shower activity over south central Alaska, but generally for Cook Inlet, Kenai Peninsula, Prince William Sound, staying mostly dry with still some sunshine, just some snow showers over the mountainous terrain to the north, Susitna, Matanuska Valley, but not much more continuous action out here over the southwest, more numerous snow showers and a little windier. Northwest winds, Kodiak, snow mixed in the picture there as well. Bristol Bay, mixed rain and snow showers there for the Alaska Peninsula. Scattered snow showers northward along the southwest coast, Nunivak Island to St. Lawrence Island. Pretty good up here, northwest valleys. Definitely lighter winds, more clearing and drier conditions, and still some blowing snow continues. But probably losing the blizzard, or you will lose a blizzard warning, maybe an advisory up there lingering for the first day of the weekend, Saturday, and that next front with more wind and rain into the Aleutians. Lows for tonight, a little above zero for the Arctic coast to a little below zero in the clear areas, Arctic Village, maybe in the Yukon Flats. Otherwise, 5 to 15 above here through the interior with clouds and snow. Single numbers for the Seward Peninsula. Lower 20s to the upper teens here, southwest coast into Bristol Bay. A shade above freezing for the lows for the Alaska Peninsula, near 40 for Unalaska, 32 for Shimia, and lower 30s for the Panhandle. Highs tomorrow afternoon, Friday afternoon shaping up like this. 0 to 10 above here, northwest, all the North Slope Arctic coastal areas to the Brooks Range, into the teens, mid to upper here south of there, Koyukuk Valley, into the lower 20s for the Tanana Valley, 40-mile country, lower to mid-20s, the Sinton Valley, down in across south central Alaska to lower to mid-30s out along the coast, Cordova, Seward, on down toward Homer, upper 30s for Kodiak, near 40 for the Alaska Peninsula, mid-40s for the eastern Aleutians, and mid-30s to lower 40s for the Panhandle. Lows the next morning, Saturday morning, shaping up like this, teens to 20s for the most part, milder out along the coast, and back below zero, 15 to 20, 25 below here up over the northeast interior, and below zero temperatures back down into the Copper River Basin, but only about 5 below, milder 20s out to the southwest there, right around zero for the Seward Peninsula on up to Point Hope, and out to the west, lows right around freezing for the Aleutians and the Pribilofs. Highs for the afternoon Saturday, single numbers 5 to 10 up here to the north, 20s through the central interior, lower to mid-30s down toward the coast, and the Panhandle about the same in the lower 40s.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Okay, moving on to our first flying weather graphic here, showing the areas of marginal VFR, VFR and IFR, and a band of IFR here out over the Bering Sea, moving from east to west here, spreading in over the Fox Islands. They're back up and coming into the Pribilofs and improving a little bit here back to the west, even a small area of IFR or VFR over the southwest Bering. IFR along the and just west of the Alaska Range, so in the northern Kuskokwim Valley up into the central Tanana Valley, and areas of IFR and marginal stuff over the 40-mile country up to about Eagle. IFR there, eastern Beaufort Sea coast, down into the central Brooks Range early, and then that'll be lifting northward, I believe, and then Panhandle IFR over toward the border, otherwise marginal. Tomorrow afternoon, improving down through that area, as well as up over the southeast interior and up over the north slope, just marginal VFR on out to the Arctic coast, and still some lingering areas of IFR here, mostly over the mountains, White Mountains there north of Fairbanks, and still lingering mostly out of the Eagle area by late in the afternoon, while this band pushes into the southwest coast and northward there, but staying south of St. Lawrence Island. VFR more or less in between here, or northeast of this system, and it continues to break out over the south central Bering Sea. Looks pretty good in the central Aleutians, Adak and Atka. VFR, and then becoming VFR for Nikolsky, improving for the Pribilofs. And for Saturday morning, that whole area kind of rotates up into south central Alaska, Prince William Sound here, and slips a little bit to the east, but still extends out close to the coast there. It becomes marginal by early Saturday morning. Marginal VFR north slope out to the Arctic coast, areas of VFR over the north central interior. VFR for the Panhandle, continued improvement here over the southern Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And then for Saturday, next system, not all that strong, pushes some band IFR into the far western Aleutian areas there with marginal VFR spreading to Atka. Not too bad for the Pribilofs, some areas of VFR at times, otherwise marginal from about St. Paul all the way up to St. Lawrence Island. Better here along the southwest part of the state, but marginal along the coast and up across the Cobourg Mountains there into the Kuskokwim. And IFR along and on the west side of the Alaska Range all the way up to about Windy Pass and then over toward Mentasta as well. Good VFR here through the north central interior. IFR eastern Beaufort Sea coast. Lots of IFR here socked in across the Panhandle. Past Zanutuvik, IFR, you'll be right on the line there in the pass. And to the north, better conditions to the south. Same thing for Adigan. IFR the pass northward, better to the south. And for Lake Clark-Merrill, VFR tomorrow. Rainy, starting out marginal, then becoming VFR. Same trend for Windy. IFR improving to VFR throughout the day. Improving for also Isabel, Mentasta, same thing, lowest conditions in the morning, better in the afternoon. Tanita, VFR the entire day, same thing for Portage. Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR, trending toward VFR throughout the afternoon. Freezing levels, 2,000 feet, Dixon Entrance, south of the Gulf of Alaska, right across Sitkinak here. Milder air with that next front coming in, southeast flow here, pulling 6,000 feet up to the Fox Islands, 2,000 feet there near the Pribilofs, and at the surface here, down into the Alaska Peninsula, hugging the coastline. Icing, areas of considerable moderate rime, likely here, southwest interior in advance of the front, down across the Aleutian Range, Bristol Bay, improving, and then another batch slipping into the western Aleutians there of a mixed variety. And then also some mixed and rime icing here over the central and southern southeast coast with that disturbance down in that area. Moving on to the 18,000-foot wind flow chart with the jet stream showing high pressure here south of Kodiak Island there, and that southwest 120 knots. So some ridging working through the area here for much better conditions we're seeing today. And northwest jet about 100 knots here, up to 120 knots over the southern panhandle. Low pressure still affecting the Arctic coastal areas there. Next system out here to the west, way out there to the west, pushing that next front eastward. And then for 9,000 feet, good westerly flow is going to push that thing right eastward here. You can see the trough right through here, and 40 to 50 knot winds there across the southern central Bering Sea to the Aleutians. Northwesterlies 25 to 30, and some pretty good westerlies up here in the northeast. You can see at 3,000 feet, still about 45 knots. And then the strongest winds will be southwest of the Panhandle. Strong westerly flow there across the Bering Sea and the Aleutians, 40 to 45 knots or so. And for the turbulence, southern Alaska, all of the Kodiak Island area up into the central interior, pretty turbulent.
Take the Venus-Mercury Challenge. Welcome to Stargazers. I'm James Albury, director of the Kika Silva Pla Planetarium in Gainesville, Florida.
And I'm Dehne Regas, astronomer from the Cincinnati Observatory, and we're here to help you find your way around the sky. As we get into the month of March, James and I would like to issue you a challenge.
That's right, Dehne. We're looking for keen-eyed stargazers to locate the two closest planets to the Sun.
We're talking Mercury and Venus. Now, I'm warning you, this could be tough. Mercury and Venus are just now emerging from the far side of the Sun and will be popping out into the western sky just after sunset.
You'll have to time this just right and have a clear view of the western horizon. And even then, you might not be able to see them. They will slowly appear farther from the Sun as the month progresses.
The challenge is this. What is the first day you can spot them both in the sky?
Ooh, I like it.
Challenge issued.
Challenge accepted.
Let's head to the sky. Okay, we have the sky set for February 25th facing west. The sun is about to set, and as it does, we want you to look for suspiciously bright lights near the horizon.
The brightest planet in the night sky is Venus, and it should be the first of our two planets to pop into view as the sky darkens. There it is, just above the treetops. Now it'll be extremely low in the sky, so you'll need a viewing spot free from trees or buildings. And of course, it has to be clear out.
Mercury, on the other hand, may be the real challenge to find in February. It is way dimmer than Venus and tends to get lost in the haze above the horizon. But as the weeks roll on, Mercury will become easier to spot. Here's the sky, same time of night on February 26th, 27th, 28th, and March 1st.
Venus appears higher in the sky, and you see that little dot next to it? That is the elusive planet Mercury. Most people have never seen Mercury, or at least they've probably never noticed it, but Venus will help. On March 2nd, they'll be closer still, and on March 3rd, they'll be in conjunction.
James's favorite time of the year. Now, let's fly up there to get a closer look at our two innermost planets.
The reason Mercury and Venus can be so tough to see is because they're in between us and the Sun. They're up in the sky just as much as any other planet, but most of the time the Sun is there with them. It's so bright outside you can't find their feeble light.
But at certain places in their orbits, we can see them either just after sunset or just before sunrise. These positions are called elongations, when the Sun seems farthest from them in the sky.
If we want to fly to Venus, it would still be quite a trip. It's over 150 million miles from Earth this week. Unfortunately, from above, there won't be a lot to see.
Venus is perpetually covered in clouds. The clouds reflect a lot of sunlight and trap in a whole lot of heat. So Venus, although farther from the sun than Mercury, is the hottest planet.
That's right. The surface of Venus swelters at around 900 degrees Fahrenheit.
If we quickly hop over to Mercury, we will find a very different planet.
Look, no clouds. We can see the surface of Mercury, every mountain and every crater. At least we can now thanks to the Messenger spacecraft, which mapped out Mercury a few years ago.
We actually didn't know what half of Mercury looked like until 2011. It's so close to the sun that it is really tough to view from Earth. So, take the Venus-Mercury challenge and see when you can first spot the two planets.
Look to the western horizon every clear night just after sunset. If conditions are just right and you have keen eyesight, you may see them on March 1st, 2nd, or 3rd.
Or maybe you have such amazing eagle eyes that you may find Venus and Mercury in February.
We'll definitely be looking. Let us know when you see them and try to find them before we do.
Accept our challenge as you keep looking up.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Sea ice analysis here continues to erode back each day here, really going to pieces. Just some ice on the south side of St. Lawrence Island due to the southerly winds continuing to open up there north of the Bering Strait areas. You can see in the blue area there, which is, I believe, open water. Same thing here in Norton Sound, southwest coast, really pretty anemic ice-wise there, really from the Yukon Delta on down into Bristol Bay. Not much change in Cook Inlet. And for the marine forecast, gales along the coast, west-northwest 35 to 40 knots with seas as high as 19 feet. All the way down the coastline, westerlies 35 to 40 knots. Pretty windy day coming up there tomorrow. Inside waters, Clarence Strait, southwest 25. Otherwise, lighter winds from the north, 15 to 20 knots, central northern waters. And for Saturday, swinging around to the south at 15 there for Lynn Canal, southeast 20, Stevens Passage with 4-foot seas. Small craft advisories continue for Clarence Strait, and small craft advisory level winds here coming down from the gales to 30 knots out of the west, and then swinging around to the south-southeast at 30 knots with seas hanging in at about 20 feet on average. And for the Cook Inlet zone, north of the Forelands, light northeasterlies tomorrow, but southern Cook Inlet, westerlies 25 knots, 6-foot seas. Gales there out of the west for Kachemak Bay. Turn northwest at 40 for the Barren Islands, 15-foot seas. Back down to minimum gales there for the for the whole area here, including Prince William Sound. Northwest 35 to 40 knots, 7-foot seas for the Sound, and seas 14 feet here for the North Gulf Coast. Next day, northerlies coming down to 30 knots there for the eastern North Gulf Coast. Winds down to 15 for Prince William Sound with seas of 3 feet. Gales continue here, the western North Gulf Coast zone into the Barrens at 40 knots from the northwest. Westerlies 40 knots for Kachemak Bay, 15-foot seas. West 30, southern Cook Inlet. Wind staying light north of the Forelands. Kodiak Island tomorrow, westerlies diminishing to 20 to 25 knots into the afternoon with seas near 10 feet on the Pacific side here, less than Shelikof Strait. Sitkinak to Cape Sarachev, south winds 30 knots, 9 to 11-foot seas. Small craft advisories for Bristol Bay, and actually all the way down the coast here for 30-knot winds from the southeast. And then on Saturday, swing the winds around, gales back in the picture here. West winds 40 knots for the peninsula, and that extends all the way up to Sitkinak, and minimum gales now in the forecast for the first day of the weekend there for the east side of Kodiak Island. Shelikof Strait also will see an increase in those winds up to 30 knots with 11-foot seas. And for the Aleutians Friday, west-southwest 30 to 35 here for the Fox Islands. Pretty breezy, seas 10 to 15 feet. West 30 for the central Aleutians. Gales here west of Adak up to 40 knots out towards Humianatu. And then those swing around southeast, come back up. They'll probably go under gale force during the day on Saturday, then come up in the afternoon with the next system. Southerlies 30 here for the areas east or from west of Adak, south-southwest 25 to 30 for Adak and Atka, to 30 to 40 knots there for the eastern Aleutians, mostly out of the west and strongest there across Unalaska Island. For the southwest coast, we've got gales out for tomorrow. Easterlies north of Nunivak Island, southeasterlies to the southeast of the island. Westerlies 35 knots for the Pribilof, swinging around to the east, up to 45 knots there for St. Matthew Island. Those seas approaching 20 feet. St. Lawrence Island, east 30, 8-foot seas. And for Saturday, north winds 25 for St. Lawrence Island, becoming northwest at 30, increasing to westerlies at 35 knots, blowing right into Kuskokwim Bay with seas at 15 feet. 45-knot winds now for the Pribilofs on Saturday with 21-foot seas and falling back to 30 knots from the north there around St. Matthew Island. Up along the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, blizzard warning kicking in tonight along with gale force winds. For tomorrow, westerlies 30 to 35 knots, strongest toward demarcation point, diminishing back to 25 on the central coast, down to 20 knots on the west side, and then back up to 25 from Cape Thompson down to Wales. And then for Saturday, we've got westerlies 20 knots on the central coast, up to 40 knots again here for the east side, and 20 knots out of the northwest, and then north-northwest 15 to 20 on down to the Bering Strait. For tonight again, we've got this next storm coming in, approaching the coast. This mess moving out, winter storm warning for the northern Panhandle, blizzard warning eastern Arctic coast, and then more rain and snow approaching the coast tomorrow with gusty winds, westerlies driving that front eastward into Bristol Bay. And on Sunday, another system, more rain and snow for the Panhandle, and dry over the northern interior.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.